It's Kenny Albert with Armen and Levack, 104.5 The Team. If you watch a New York sporting event, there's probably a 60% chance that Kenny Albert is doing the play-by-play for it. Rangers radio man, NFL, Fox Sports. You saw him this weekend calling Ravens Rams. And Kenny, the Rams were at the Ravens. Joe Flacco tore his ACL, done for the year. What a season for injuries with the Ravens, huh?
Yeah, it really has been. Going into the game yesterday, 15 players on injured reserve, which is the most in the league of the 32 teams. And then they lose running back Justin Forsett in the first half to the broken arm. Lost Joe Flacco, as you said, right at the end of the game. Steve Smith, a couple of their offensive linemen were out yesterday. Their center, Jeremy Zuta, is on IR. So it's certainly been a rough year injury-wise. They did pull out the game at the end. Their third win of the year, all three wins coming on Justin Tucker last-second field goals. But from an injury standpoint, certainly a rough go, and it continued yesterday for the Ravens.
At this point, now with Flacco being down on top of all those other guys you just mentioned, do they just go full tank mode and hope for a top 5 draft pick?
No, I don't think so at all. I think they feel they're actually right in the race for a wild card spot, believe it or not. When we spoke to John Harbaugh on Friday, that was his thinking, that if we win out, we might be right there. And in that job, they have a veteran who's gone to the playoffs before. So I don't think teams ever think like that. They want to win every game. Players, every play that they're out there for is watched on film, not only by their coaches, but by the other 32 teams. So you never see a team think that way. They want to win every game.
Kenny Albert with Armen and Levack, 104.5 The Team. Kenny, in that game yesterday, you were calling Rams at Ravens. Case Keenum got sacked in the last minute. He got hit, appeared to be woozy. Next play, he fumbles. What changes need to be made to the concussion policy to where we don't miss that?
Well, the changes were actually made prior to this year with the independent observer up in the press box. Now, I don't know what the communication was yesterday, so I can't really speak to that, but the NFL's done a lot to try and prevent those type of situations. And, yesterday it's coming down to the wire. The Rams are driving to potentially score a game-winning touchdown or take a game-winning field goal. So, again, not sure what procedure, as far as procedure goes, what happened yesterday. But they do have it in place, and we've seen it throughout the season in certain games with the phone call coming down from upstairs and the referee, the official stopping the game and getting that player off the field, which obviously was not the case yesterday with Keenum.
Kenny, you're calling the Giants-Redskins game this Sunday. So when you look at it, Jets, Giants, Bills, who do you really feel is most likely to make the playoffs?
Well, I think right now you have to say that they all have a shot. Things haven't gone well for the Jets the last couple of weeks. The Giants coming off the disappointing ending against New England, and they're still in first place in the NFC East, and the Bills with a huge game tonight. So I'm really looking forward to the Giants-Redskins game on Sunday. We've seen both teams a number of times. Darryl Johnston, Laura Oakland, and myself, we worked the Giants-Bills game earlier this season. We had the Giants-Saints game. We had the Giants-Tampa Bay game. So this will be our 4th Giants game. We've also had 3 Redskin games. So it's a huge game for both teams. If the Giants win, they'll put some separation between themselves and the Redskins. Obviously, the Cowboys play on Thanksgiving, going for their 2nd straight win. But if the Redskins win the game, then they're 5-6, tied with the Giants atop the division. So, huge game for both teams. Should be a fun day down in Landover.
Kenny, would you go as far as to say that the NFC East is the Giants' division to lose?
Well, you probably have to say that, given that they have a 1-win lead at this point on the Redskins and Eagles, and 2-game lead on the Cowboys. So they do control their own destiny. If the Giants win out, they win the division, but you do have Tony Romo back in Dallas now, and they haven't lost a game that Tony has started this year. They haven't won a game without him. The Eagles obviously went through a rough day yesterday against Tampa Bay, and the Redskins have been up and down. We've seen them at their best and their worst in some of the games that we've worked. They looked terrific last week against New Orleans when they scored the 33 unanswered points, and then they go down to Charlotte and had a rough day yesterday. But for the Giants with 6 games left, again, if they win out, they win the division. So it is in their control, but still a long way to go. And if the Cowboys win again on Thursday, they'll certainly put some more heat and more pressure on the Giants.
Kenny Albert with Armen and Levack on 104.5 The Team, and you've seen Kenny over the years now calling Knicks games occasionally on MSG as well.
Yeah, I'm starting to get KP fever over here. What's your take on Kristaps Porzingis through 14 games?
Wow, he's been a lot of fun to watch. I've had the opportunity to work 5 or 6 of the games so far, including the game in Charlotte when he hit what looked to be the game-winning three-pointer, and then it was called back, after the review. His fingertips were still on the basketball. And then the game at home against Charlotte last week when he scored 29 points, and that was really his coming-out party at the Garden in a home game, and he was terrific over the weekend. I watched a good portion of the game Friday night against Oklahoma City, and then he had another good one, great one against Houston on Saturday. So I think certainly well ahead of expectations, and Knicks fans have to be really excited about what they've seen so far over the first 14 games from Kristaps Porzingis. He's only 20 years of age, and when you read some of the quotes from guys like Patrick Ewing and some of the other players around the league that have commented on what they've seen so far, for a team that won only 17 games last year, off to an 8-6 start this year is outstanding.
So, Kenny, how far should we be buying into the Knicks in Phil Jackson's second year? How much should we be buying into what we've seen so far?
Well, I think you have to like what we've seen, over the offseason with the drafting of Porzingis first off and bringing in solid veteran players such as Aaron Aflalo and Kyle O'Quinn and Derek Williams and Robin Lopez right on down the line. And then, of course, a healthy Carmelo Anthony, and you have Jose Calderon back, and Langston Galloway, Lou Amundsen, and Lance Thomas, 3 guys who came in on 10-day contracts last year. Galloway, a major part of the rotation, and we've seen some great things from Thomas and Amundsen over the last 5 or 6 games as well. So, again, 17 wins last year, 8-6 over the first 14. So, Knicks fans have a lot to be excited about. The games are fun to watch, and they've picked up some big wins on the road. Opening night in Milwaukee, and then they go into Oklahoma City. I know Durant didn't play, but you win that game and then win in Houston as well. So it's been a great start for the Knicks.
It's just hearing your voice, I'm like looking for a game. Like you literally do play-by-play for everything. Knicks, you got 3 Rangers games this week. You got Giants, Redskins. What's the hardest sport to do play-by-play for?
That's a great question. I get that all the time, and just driving back from the Garden just to kind of give you the scenario, was at the Rangers and Nashville Predators morning skate this morning, getting ready for the game tonight. So as far as I think of the 4 major sports, and I've been very fortunate to be involved in all 4, to me personally, the most challenging is baseball because there's so much downtime, and you have to fill in the open spaces, and hopefully you have a terrific analyst with you, and I've been lucky to work with some of the best. And I get the question all the time, the general population, sports fans and high school and college students going into broadcasting, they ask me if hockey is the toughest because of all the names and the changing on the fly and et cetera. But to me, that's actually the easiest. It's like riding a bike. I've done it for so long, 25 years now, and especially on radio, for the most part, you're just calling the play. There aren't that many stoppages. So for 60 minutes, you're calling the action. Basketball is somewhat similar, 48 minutes back and forth. Football is probably the most regimented as far as play-by-play. It's one play and then 20 or 25 seconds. Another play and then 20 or 25 more seconds. But, again, baseball is the most challenging because of all the downtime throughout the course of what could be a 3 or 3.5 hour broadcast.
And who knows what a baller strike is these days anyway, right, Kenny?
Well, it's funny. When I started, again, 20, 25 years ago, there were no replay reviews in any sport. The rules were certainly not as complicated, so that's another aspect to it from a broadcast standpoint is you really have to be up on the rules and the replay situations. I had that crazy Game 5 between the Rangers and Blue Jays back in October in the 7th inning when Russell Martin went to throw the ball back to the mound and it deflected off the bat. So there are all kinds of crazy things out there. Even in football, having worked NFL games now on Fox for 21 years, you see something almost every game that you haven't seen before. And, at Fox, we have Mike Pereira, who does a terrific job to come in and clean up the mess sometimes. But each year, with technology getting better and better, there are rule situations and replay situations that you really have to keep up on. And for me, being involved in all 4 sports, the Porzingis shot, for example, that goes to replay in Secaucus at the NBA Replay Center, and there are different aspects to it. So there's a lot of studying that goes into it as well.
Kenny Albert with Armen and Levack. Kenny, should we have a machine calling ball strikes in baseball?
Here we go.
Well, it's an interesting question. I mean, we've seen it in tennis with the line calls, And in the NHL, they don't have a machine, but you have the goal cams, the cameras atop the goal line to see if the puck crossed the line. And it's not always easy to tell because the goalie's equipment could be on top of it. But, I'll leave that to the experts. But I'm sure down the line that wouldn't be something so far-fetched if it ever does come into play.
Well, Kenny, since you've got so much downtime on your hands, again, 3 Rangers games this week as you prepare for the Giants-Redskins on Sunday, is this the time? Do the Bills beat the Patriots tonight?
Well, I think it'll be a great game. I always stay away from predictions because I'm never usually right. I think I have about a 10% rate on predictions, but we know all the history, what the Patriots have done against the Bills. I actually worked one of the Patriots-Bills game last year up in Orchard Park, and all those numbers came into play, and Rex Ryan's career against the Patriots. But it should be a fun one to watch. I won't see the first half because I'll be busy with the Rangers in Nashville, but look forward to hopefully catching the second half of the game tonight.
At Kenny Albert on Twitter. Kenny, thanks so much for your time and fitness in your busy schedule. We always enjoy your work and always enjoy listening to you, man. So thanks so much for your time today.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate it. Have some fun, and let's do it again soon.